Well, I've no idea where I've popped up this time, but it's Guy Pretty. I just want to help get one thing straight in a few minds, and it's the constitution of these British Isles. We've kind of been gaslighted for years in a number of different ways, and you get your media, and they always talk about, the UK as a country. Every time you fill in a form, you tick a box and it speaks about, where is your origin of birth or your nationality or whatever, you know, and your country, you have to tick this box with the UK beside it. It's the biggest piece of gaslighting that's ever been perpetrated against the people up and down these British Isles. The UK is actually only constituent. It's only constituted out of two countries. They're both independent countries. There are another two countries in these British Isles. There is Wales and there is Ireland. Now I'm going to talk more about Scotland and its relationship with England. Ireland, I believe it has its own law. So it's Northern Ireland is a fairly separate place. When I say Ireland, I mean Northern Ireland. Wales, now that is a conquered nation. Personally, I hope they get their independence, but I think that's a bit more like Catalonia and the Spanish relationship. Unfortunately, Wales is a province of England, really. Although it is still a country. Wales is a country. England is a country, and England is a country in a fiscal and political union with another country, and that country is Scotland. England and Scotland are both independent countries. They are governed by one parliament. That parliament is Westminster. Now, the Act of Union back in 1707 said that both parliaments, the English Parliament of Westminster and the Scottish Parliament, would be dissolved, and one parliament to govern both nations would be formed. That dissolution of Westminster never happened. So what happened was, about 5 years after the declaration of the Union, the Act of Union, being put in place in 1707, what happened was, about 5 years later, there was a thing called the Convention of the Estates. That is a thing that's encapsulated by a term called salvo. When the Scottish Government, which now sits at Westminster, calls salvo the original estates that constituted the original Scottish Government, can be convened. That happened about 5 years after the Act of Union was passed into law. It was held in a tennis court somewhere in Westminster. Now, the embargoes that pushed the Scottish nobles into signing the Act of Union were still in place. So the vote was passed to stay within the Articles of Union and the Act of Union, and from then on in, the Scottish Government was never disbanded as such. The Scottish Government is still intact, and its estates now sit at Westminster. So the United Kingdom is called the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland for a reason. Because the UK, the United Kingdom, is only a union between Scotland and England. So this thing about countries and things, we should by rights have boxes so that we can check to see whether or not we are English, Welsh, Northern Irish or Scottish as countrymen and women and everything in between. So I just thought I'd get that straight. UK's not a country, Scotland's a country, England's a country, Wales is a country, Northern Ireland is a country.